because some people believe that high value men want high value women, and that's not true. Like, it's just not true, because just because he's a high value man doesn't mean that he's not a little insecure. He's not a little, he doesn't have these personality traits that make him want to be in control, or that he doesn't want his ego stroked. Like,
every man wants, listen.
Yeah, like, people don't pay attention to the fact that it's still personality, even with like a job, right? I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, I'm so nervous, because I'm like, listen, what's on the paper probably means less if y'all went to the same college, because the person, it's still a human factor, and the emotional aspect of it is going to usually trump, right?
Yep.
So when women feel like they have all of these milestones to reach, and to get a certain type of guy, I'm like, and that's great, but then guess what? You still might get this guy who wants you to dumb that down and let him be, the king. And some women, they can't do that. So,
and I think self-awareness is so important, because most women in America that have an Instagram account that has watched reality TV, like, we have in our head this Cinderella, I want this man to, do all of these things, or I want this particular type of man.
Yeah.
You don't think about what comes along with it, or what that means, what your role will be. Because like, I literally was in a situation where I was dating the man that wanted to just insert me into his already successful kingdom.
Yeah.
No, I gotta build, I have to bring something to the table. But there are women out there who would gladly just be inserted. So I think knowing who you are and what you want is that's the bottom line.
Yeah. And then here's the thing. Just because that's what they need for their personality doesn't mean that you don't have to do anything. It doesn't mean don't go to school, don't work, don't make your money. But they don't want that on display, right? And if you can just get your coin and be quiet and let him take care of everything, it might work for you, right? Because, and that if God forbid anything doesn't happen, anything doesn't work out between y'all, you're good. But if every single day you're coming home and you're like trying to download and tell him everything that you got going on, he might be like, like, I don't want that. I don't like that. That's not, that's not fitting well with what I want. Now, I mean, personally, I do have my own identity, so I really probably couldn't be with somebody who doesn't want me to, shine, in a sense. But for some people, they're more reserved. It might work for them, like, and there's no right or wrong. It's just really trying to decide if it works for you, right? Yep. And then the last part about it is that so many women care about what the guys look like on paper, and I'm like, that doesn't translate well for a relationship in person, in reality, because you're miserable. You're miserable,
right? But y'all look good on paper. Y'all the power couple, but behind closed doors, you're. So this is why I think. I mean, I know we've been talking about the sugar daddy and the this and the that, but I read your bio. I mean, I did all my things to get ready. I'm like, I gotta make sure I put some respect on there. I love that you said you help women learn how to speak up. Because whether you are single, married, going through something at your job, dealing with your mama, like, for some reason, a lot of women feel voiceless. Like, we have a hard time finding our voice, being confident enough to speak up, like verbalizing or communicating what we desire, what we deserve. Why do you think that is? And what are some of the tips or tools that you're sharing with your clients to help them navigate that?
Well, the first thing I tell people is that you care more about what they think than they caring about what you think, or you caring about what you think, right? It's always about what the other person, oh, I don't want to say this because I don't want them to think this about me. I'm like, the truth? So, like, I'm going to use this as an example, right? So, oh, I don't want to tell him that I want to go to this 5-star restaurant or this 5-star resort or whatever, because I don't want him to think that I'm that you like that stuff. The truth, it's the truth. So you don't want him to think that you like fine dining. You don't want him to think that you care about the hotel.
It sounds ridiculous when you say it like that.
Right. So I got to hide that because I don't want him to think that, I'm shallow and stuff like that. So let's just go stay in the Best Western, and no shade, but I'm just saying anything, like, let's go stay in the 2-star hotel because I want to look humble. I don't want to look shallow. I don't want to look materialistic. I don't want to look bougie, stush, whatever. Right. And I am like a firm, but yes, I believe in compromise. Right. But then there's also like some things where it's like, men, and this is general, right? Like men probably are not thinking, oh, I don't want her to think this about me, so I'm not gonna say or do this, right? So like you go on a date with a guy, he puts his hand on your thigh, he kisses you, you're texting, he says something sexual or out of the way, he sends you a dick pic, he, asks you, have you ever had a threesome before? Like all types of stuff. Like I'm just using these random things that we may think is super inappropriate, but they tried their luck. Like they tried it, So I always say, I mean, if they're going to try their luck, I'm going to try my luck. Right. And for some things, it's all a conversation. Everything is a conversation. Mm-hmm. I have totally had conversations with men where I told them, I remember saying something like, I don't know. It was something about like going to Miami or something. I was like, yeah, I want to stay at the one hotel, but it's like $1,000 a night. The guy was like, oh, I ain't paying no $1,000 a night. I'm like, damn, but at least I knew at that moment that he not with that. Okay, I'll compromise. We'll stay at the W or we'll stay somewhere else, like whatever. But it wasn't like I wasn't going to say it because I didn't want him to think. I just threw it out there. It's always bait for me. Like I'm going to throw it out there and I'm going to see where you fall. Like on the topic. So whatever it is, whether it's the travel thing, if it's on sex, if it's if it could be something like, it could be anything, whatever it is, I'm just gonna throw the bait out there and it becomes a conversation. Like I remember this guy had bought me before I even met him, he bought me these $1,000 pair of Louis Vuitton sandals. And I go and he gives them to me. And then like the next week I sent him a picture of a bag and he says to me, oh, you need your nails done. And I was like, well, damn. I was like, my appointment is tomorrow because it was grown out. And then he was like, I said, my appointment is tomorrow. And I said, oh, you going to pay for them? And he was like, no. He was like, I don't pay for nails. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, you don't pay for nails? You just bought me $1,000 pair of shoes. And he's like, no, that's for you. That like nails, that's your grooming stuff. I don't do that. Mm-mm. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now I know he ain't paying for nails. But, it wasn't, I'm not, and don't get me wrong. I'm not, even though I'm considered a pro, I still have to figure out a strategy with every single guy to see how I'm going to throw what I want to say out there to him. If I'm not confident enough or comfortable enough to just say it, then I'll figure out a way to get it out there because I want to know where he's at on.
Where's like the boundary. You gonna toe the line until you figure it out.
Yeah. And I'm never caring more. My objective is always, how am I gonna get it out? Not what is he gonna think about me, or no, I don't want to say that, because it's like me just trying to find that thing based on like his personality and like our conversation, and then I just go for it. And guess what? Honestly, sometimes if it's too hard for me, I'll be like, I don't like this one because I'm not comfortable enough to say what I want, right? And then that makes me not even like you. So,
wow.
I mean, and that doesn't happen often, but if I really do feel like this person is a little, our personalities just don't go, right? Like I'm like, oh no, I'm scared of him. I'm good.
I think that is so like just the opposite of what I feel like little girls are raised to, like how we're raised to be. Like we're not, I wasn't, let me speak for myself. I think that I'm a pretty like assertive person, but if it comes down to you being uncomfortable or me being uncomfortable,
right,
I'm gonna choose to be uncomfortable. Like I'll figure this out versus me making you uncomfortable. And you really are putting everybody above your, above yourself, putting everybody's needs above you, and you don't really realize that's what you're doing until you a grown up in therapy.
And with sometimes it's the outcome or the result, the response rather, is probably not even near what you thought it was going to be. So like, let's say for example, I had a Cutty call recently where somebody was like, he ain't doing nothing, like I need him to do some stuff for me. Like, he's not doing anything. And I said, well, at this point, what do you lose? Like you're not, if he already not doing anything, you might as well just tell him what you want, because either you're going to get it or you're not. And then
you're not getting it.
Right. Yeah. You're not good. If he basically confirms you're not getting it, then you could go. Right now you're waiting to see if he's ever going to figure it out on his own. Right. And you might just need to say like, this is what I want. But it's almost like sometimes people give off this persona and this aura like they don't necessarily need anything or want anything. So sometimes it's not always, it's just people's perception, right? So like even your friend who has like a lot of stuff for Christmas, you're like, I don't know what to buy her. She be buying Chanel and Dior and stuff like that. I don't know what to get her. When really she probably could totally appreciate some socks, a scarf, a hat, and you kind of like get nervous because you're like, I don't have the money to buy her the type of stuff that she likes, but she's probably appreciative of other little things that you never even thought of. So it's like, he may be on the same type of, in the same perception where it's like, oh, she got all her stuff together. She don't need me. She don't like whatever. If you were to say like, oh babe, I want to go to this play on Thursday, whatever. He's like, oh, that's something I could do for her. Like, yeah, let's go, and I'm just, like I said, that's just an example, whatever. But just always throwing out, for me, my strategy is is the bait. Like just always throwing out what I like, what I want, my need, my want, like everything.